Well, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Wellbeing Show. I'm your host, Ken Gustin. Um, it's really cold outside, and I hope it begins to warm up soon in Cambridge here, and it's cold. And we got a lot of snow the last week and a half. So I survived it, and we all survived it, and now I'm going to do my show. So today, I moved down here. I've talked about this a lot on my show, but I moved down here from New York City in 1984. Before that, I lived in the Berkshires for about 6 months, and then I moved out here. Anyway, I've had a lot of different jobs through the years, part time, full time. I sort of floated from job to job. For the last 14 years, even though they're not actually jobs. I've been doing some volunteer work and taking studies at doing media and television and things like that. So I've been doing that. But before that, I kind of floated from job to job. So I thought I'd talk about today one of the first jobs I had when I moved out here, and I hope it helps people who are working and to find purpose and liking what they're doing, even if they think that maybe their job is not so much purpose to it. So I was living in a halfway house in Lincoln. It was in 1985, and I was looking for work. So I had a counselor named Toby, and Toby had driven by a Star Market in Waltham. Star Market in Waltham is still there, by the way. This was 1985, and she had driven by there, and there was a sign in the window that said, "We're looking for work. We're looking to hire people." So she asked me, would I like to work there? So I said, okay. So I went in and I applied, and I was 21 years old at the time. And I had never done supermarket work before. I never did remotely customer service work. I never really did that before. The job I had before that was working in an electronics factory in in Waltham as well. But I never worked in a supermarket. Anyway, so I went in for the interview, and I got the job. So it was basic stuff. They had me doing bagging. Now, when you do bagging, you have carriages, and you put the I don't know if all supermarkets do this, but the supermarket I go to, they still do this. Anyway, the cashier loads up the groceries into plastic bags or paper bags, and then you put it in your basket and you wheel it out and put it in the car, whatever. Back then, I mean, this is 40 years ago now, but back then they had what they called boxes. And what they used to do is they would bag the groceries, and then they would put the groceries in boxes, like tubs, crates even, and put it on a conveyor belt inside the store. And then the conveyor belt would run outside the store, and there would be someone outside who would actually put the groceries into your car for you. And that's how it was done. Now it's done differently. Now it's up to you to take your groceries out. Anyway, so he did that. So he had me bagging, and I just put this, bag the groceries, put the groceries in bags for people, and that was about it. And I really enjoyed it, and it was a nice place to work. I got very close to the cashiers. There were some very nice female cashiers there, older people who were very nice to me. I remember there was one woman who there was a no refund button on the cash register, and she says, "I have a Nerf," and she called the no refund button a Nerf. I thought that was funny. Anyway, so I started doing bagging, and I worked I was working about 15, no, about 20 hours a week to start. It was about 4 hours a day, 5 days a week. Maybe it was 3 days a week. I forget what it was, a long time ago. Um, so I did the bag. And while I was bagging, there was a guy next to me named Dominic. And Dominic was in his 60s at the time. He had just retired from WR Grace. And they had given him a big send-off party and everything. I didn't go to the party because I didn't know him that well. But he was Italian. And he used to sing Italian songs to me while I was bagging. And I thought that was wonderful. I could bag and listen, oh, solo mia, and all that. And he made it a lot of fun for me. So I did this for about 2, 3 months. And my supervisor, I think her name was Kathleen, came up to me and said, would you like to do soda bottle redemption? And I didn't know what that was. And what they had, now when you deposit your soda bottles in the store to get money back, which you still do with soda bottle redemption, they have machines, and you put the bottles into machines, and they give you your money. They give you change back. This was 40 years ago now. They didn't have those sorts of things back then. And it was all done by hand. So what they did was, in the corner of the store, they had a desk, pretty good sized desk with a cash register. And I would have to go to the manager's office. He would give me a certain amount of money. I forget. I think it was like $100 or $150 to put in the cash register. And then the cash register was on the desk. And then behind the desk, there were about 25 huge boxes, crates, cardboard crates, with huge plastic bags in them. And people would bring me their bottles. And I had to sort the bottles out into the crates and give them their money. And I was only supposed to accept no more than, I think it was like 65 or 70 bottles at a time. I wasn't supposed to accept any more than that. But I started having a lot of homeless people come in. And I felt bad for them. And I felt they needed money. So they come in with like 250, 300 bottles, huge bags. I mean, this was coming with carriages with huge plastic bags. And I had to accept their bottles and sort them out in boxes behind the desk and give them their money. It was a big operation, and I had never done it like this before, and I really began to enjoy it. And after the boxes behind the desk were full with the bags, I had to take the bags out of the boxes, not the bags, and carry the bags all the way out to the back of the store, back into the warehouse. And then once I got back there was a soda bottle area in the back, and there were shelves, and I had to sort the bottles into boxes and into the cans had to go one place. I think the Coca-Cola bags went, Coca-Cola bottles went one place, and the Pepsi bottles went somewhere else, and I had to sort everything out. Anyway, so what they would do is every week, I think it was on a Friday, there was this organization called Mass Crink. I'll never forget this. And Mass Crink would come, and it was my responsibility to make sure that the bottles were sorted correctly outside in the warehouse for Mass Crink to come in and pick up the bottles. And they did, and so it was a really big operation. So it was done weekly. So this was a lot of work, and I had to carry the bottles when carrying them out back. I mean, I had them slung. I was so light. Well, let's put it this way: I was kind of lighter than I am now. I was very skinny, and I had to carry the bottles over my shoulder in the bag, sometimes on each side of me, and bring them out back. Anyway, so I really fell in love doing this. I really enjoyed it. And I met a lot of nice people, not just people who worked in the store, but a lot of people who came over and dropped off the bottles. And there was one guy who came in like every week, and he said to me, he said, I'm going with the other guys. We're saving up for a VCR. And this was back in the late 80s, and VCRs were popular back then. So he was saving up for a VCR with the bottle money. Anyway, so I really began to enjoy doing this, and I was very good at it. And I remember they would sometimes call on the loudspeaker in the store. Soda bottle customer service needed the soda bottle redemption center, please. Kent the bottles. And I thought, oh my God, I'm famous. I'm on the I'm on the loudspeaker at the supermarket, and I had to drop whatever I was doing and go to the bottle area. Anyway, I was very well treated there. The the owner, the manager of the store, his name is Joe Darian, treated me very well. He was a nice guy. And I remember I used to sometimes take my breaks out back, and he'd be sitting around with a bunch of guys playing whist. And I never figured out how to play whist myself. It looked like a nice game to play. Anyway, um, it's also funny because my stomach was not. I've talked about this on the show, but I had very bad irritable bowel syndrome for a long time. The last 8 years, my stomach's cleared up, but before that, I had very bad problems with my stomach. And I used to sit there out back with a big jug of Metamucil, and in the break room, and people would look at me like I was a little crazy, but I would sit there with this big jug of Metamucil, and I liked to eat a lot of cheese at the time. Now, 8 years ago, she got me into trouble. I ended up in the hospital because one of the factors that went into me getting sick because I ate too much cheese. Anyway, I would what I would do is I would get a bagel from the bakery, have it toasted, and then put um, cheese on top of the bagel. And I would have bagel and cheese, not cream cheese. I mean, it was cheese. It was like Munster cheese or cheddar cheese or American cheese. I forget what it was. All different cheeses. I would put it on the bagel, and that's what I had for lunch. Anyway, and they put up with all my crazinesses. And they were very nice people. I was very well treated there, and I did this job for about 3 years. And I was very young. I was like I said, I was only 21 years old, and I didn't really understand about life so much and everything. Um, anyway, in 1987, I asked them if I could go full time because I was in the half house I was living in. They said to me, "Again, you're gonna have to work full time now." And so I went to the manager and I said, "I want to work full time." They said, "We don't really have any full time work here. You work at 30." I was up to 30 hours a week by then, and so I was working 30 hours a week. And I said, "That's all we're going to give you. We're not going to give you 40." And so I said, "I'm going to have to leave." So I left the store, and I got a job in Faneuil Hall working for a hot dog stand. I don't know if it's still there. I think it was called the Brown Derby or something. I forget what it was. And I was part of it. It's interesting. I was part of an assembly line where you would start a hot dog, and then each person would add something to the hot dog depending on what the person wanted on the hot dog. So you had about 4 or 5 people standing in a row behind this counter, and someone would ask for their hot dog to be a certain way. And I didn't know what I was doing. I made the hot dogs the way I wanted to make them. I didn't do it the way the customer wanted. I did it the way I wanted. I didn't last there very long because of this, and they ended up firing me. So I didn't know, and I went back. I was shopping at Star Market anyway, and I went back there and I said, my job there didn't work out and everything. And they came to me and they said, "All right, we'll hire you full time." Because I'd been there about 2 years by then, and I started working there full time. And it was 40 hours a week, so it was 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, Monday to Friday. And I worked very hard there. And one of the requirements to get into a supervised department that I wanted to go to is that I had to be working full time before I actually was moved out of the halfway house into an apartment. Anyway, so I was working there full time, and it was 1987. And then Joe Darian, the manager of the store, retired. And they had a big retirement party for him, and I went to it, and they had dancing and all sorts of things in retirement. The guy who replaced him, I did not get along well with all that much. It was kind of nasty to me. His name was Bob Cardillo. I mean, I don't know where these people went. I mean, this is 40 years ago. They probably all retired by now. And I didn't get along that well with him, and he used to send me outside to pick up his sandwiches for him and his ice cream and all the other things he wanted me to do, and he didn't understand how to handle the money for the bottle redemption. So I didn't last there very long. I didn't get along that well with him, and it was about 1988 by now, and I went to my uh, counselor in the house, and I said, I've been working here now full time, and so I was able to go to the supervised apartment. So I got to the apartment. So this is April of 1988, and they said, if you want to leave Star Market and go somewhere else, you can. We expect you to work. So I ended up leaving Star Market and moving on to somewhere else. I found a job, eventually working in it's called Bannerama. And what they did, they made posters and banners for people and flags for people. I was right in Waltham. It was on Moody Street in Waltham. And it didn't work out that well, but that was the next job I had, and I had fun with it. Anyway, so my job at Star Market pretty much ended. And they all said goodbye to me. The cashiers gave me like $50 out of just for a present, and that was it. But I had a really good time in there, and it was one of the first real jobs I had when I moved out here, and it really meant a lot to me. It still means a lot to me. It's like I call it like I don't know. It meant a lot to me. I think work, even if you think has no purpose to it, it does have purpose to it. You learn and you grow, and it's a learning experience. And you may not think when you're there it really matters all that much, but you want to other things. And I learned about kindness in that market. I was very well treated there, and it got me through. I may not have been doing that well at the time. I've talked about this on my show a lot about my background, and you know, I, it was very important to me to work in an environment where I was well treated. And I found other jobs later on. I worked at it's called Ames for a while. I worked there in Waltham. I worked at the Coop for a while in Cambridge. I worked for Polaroid for a while. I did all sorts of other things after that. But I learned at this job at the market that it's very important to be well treated in your workplace and to be respected. And that's what I found there. And for me to work in a place, I mean, really work somewhere as a job for about 3 years, it's a long amount of time. Most of the jobs I've had, I've gone from place to place. I have not stayed there all that long. I've learned as I've gone along, but I don't stay in one place so much. And so anyway, I just want to talk about this job with you, with the market a little bit, because it really meant a lot to me. And the show is about well-being, and this job I had meant a lot to me and was part of my well-being. And for any young people out there who may be working in doing bagging or groceries or cashier work or even something you think is menial. It's not menial. It's a growing experience. It's a learning experience. You interact with people, and I don't know what happened to Dominic after I left. Dominic was the guy who sang songs to me. He was in his late 60s when I was there, so I don't know what happened to him. I mean, he'd be over 100 years old now. The manager of the store, he's probably gone. So, but I remember. And it's interesting. Someone once said that when you pass away, the people who remember you carry on your legacy. They carry on your life and your being. And I remember those people, and they meant a lot to me at the time, and they still mean a lot to me. Anyway, so I just want to wrap up here. The job at Star Market meant everything to me, and it was an introduction for me into the Boston area. Because I had just moved out here. I moved out here in about a year before I got the job there, and it got me to interact with the locals, as they say, and meant a lot to me. Okay, I know we're closing a little bit early here today, but I don't have all that much to talk about. I did want to talk about my job there a little bit, and encourage people to, even if you think a job does not have purpose to it, like I said, it does have purpose to it. You learn and you grow, and you know it's a nice way to spend your time. Okay. Um, that's about all I had to say. I hope you have a good rest of the day, everyone. Stay warm, stay safe, and I'll see you in 2 weeks. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it. Thank you. This has been the Ken Gustin Show. No, excuse me. This has been the Wellbeing. Oh my God. This has been the Wellbeing Show. I'm your host, Ken Gustin. Thank you so much for watching.